I feel like in Narnia, by the way. Anyway, hello, ciao, welcome to Emma's Bookish Brew. Today we have possibly one of my favorite episodes so far. This is a special format that I've created for you and it's called Spilling the Tea on the Books I'm Reading. We have some delicious tea that I'm going to pour right now. I'm just so very excited, to be honest. But I also need a cup that I have over there. And now, my friends, I would say we're all set. Today I am here with a special tea blend that was inspired by the book that I'm currently reading. But before we go into that and spill the tea about One Dark Window, I need to spill the tea on something else first. I don't know about you, but I've always been a huge tea lover. I preferred tea over any other type of warm beverage, especially coffee. But then I had a quick, shall we say, love affair with coffee and especially iced lattes. I know my Italian friends will probably be cringing right now, but there's no shame to you if you love iced lattes. To be honest, I still kind of like them. But I've recently made my comeback to enjoying a warm, comforting cup of tea, especially while reading books. That's the perfect pair, in my opinion, with a cozy blanket, which, to be fair, I have over here because you're never too warm, right? Today, I am sharing something very, very special, a tea blend inspired by One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, and I want to tell you a little bit more with no spoilers. I will always let you know if there are spoilers ahead. Let me sip my tea. Now I remember. No, jokes aside, One Dark Window is a dark fantasy sprinkled with a little bit of romance, a lot of yearning, and a lot of mystery as well. It's part of the Shepherd King duology, and I have not finished it yet. So there might be surprises and maybe a book reaction, maybe a book review in the future on this channel, so make sure you subscribe not to miss it. But I really want to share a few things that I'm loving about the book so far with you, because I think it's just perfect read, especially for this time of the year. Next week here in Milan, the weather forecast is telling me we're going to have a lot of rain, a lot of clouds. And so this already tells you a little bit about the atmospheres that you can find in One Dark Window. And it follows the story of Elspeth Spindle, a 20-something-year-old who lives in a kingdom where magic can be wielded only by using some cards that are called the Providence cards. They make up a desk and you have a variety of different cards. Some are rare, some are not so rare, and each one has a special power that it grants you when you're wielding the card, but at a certain cost. So for example, there is one card, the Maiden, if I remember correctly. When you use it, you are granted incomparable beauty, but at the same time, if you overuse it, your body will actually start decaying. Then there is another card that you can use to become invisible, but at the same time, if you use it too much, the veil between the world of the living and the dead becomes thinner and thinner, and you start seeing ghosts, and things go on and on depending on the cards that you're using. So you have to be very careful about it. However, there is also another way to be able to wield magic in this world, and that is if you survive a certain illness that is called a fever. That illness will grant you some magical powers and you won't be confined by the necessity to use the cards to wield your magic. You can do that anytime you want. However, this magic is actually outlawed by the king. Because, I mean, there is a certain level of control, if you ask me, when you know that only the people that are using certain cards that are also rare can wield magic. But anyway, that's some speculation on my end. The king outlawed this illness, the fever. He's capturing and killing everyone who gets the fever through his knights, who are called the Desters, and doctors, who are called the physicians. Our protagonist, Elspeth, actually caught the illness when she was a child, and her father, who was also the captain of the Desters, decided to ship her to her aunt and uncle's house to protect her. So now she's living there. She's older, as I said, 20-something years old, and she can use magic. Not only that, again, a little bit of a theory of mine, but it seems that she has absorbed the powers of a card that was called the Nightmare. And now she can mentally communicate with this entity who is in between like a man and a wolf beast or something with yellow eyes, and she can use his magical powers. Strength, she's super fast, and this nightmare, let me tell you, seems very inclined to help her anytime she asks. Now, I don't know if there's going to be more about that in the next 30-ish% of the book, but it's very interesting piece of information if you ask me. In the meantime, the king is trying to collect the whole deck of cards so that he can essentially stop this mysterious mist that is spreading closer and closer. And hopefully that will also make it possible to cure the people that caught the disease, the fever. However, Elspeth comes in contact with a certain group of highwaymen and women who are actually disagreeing with the heavy hand that the king is using to actually punish and kill the people who caught the illness firsthand, and they want to collect the deck for themselves before the king so they can actually stop the illness, cure the people, stop the mist. Elspeth becomes entangled with them and she decides to use her powers, which I haven't told you about yet, but I kind of want you to discover this very special power that she has besides tapping into the strength of the nightmare on your own through the book. And I think it's very fun to be able to kind of dive yourself into the mysteries of the book without knowing too much about it. So Elspeth decides to help these highwaymen and women collect the deck, and she really hopes she can cure herself as well. And let's just say the current captain of the Destriers, who is also a 20-something-year-old, very fascinating guy, is part of this group of people. The two are fake courting, if that's a word, and she goes to live to his and his family's castle. There is a lot of ancient magic over there as well, and I honestly won't say anything else about it, but the yearning is there, and also I think he's going to fall first. I could be wrong, but I think I'm not. It's a little bit early for me to give a full review, but some things that I really like and I think you would enjoy a lot are, there is this mist, this forest setting, a lot of darker elements. For example, the people of Blunder can walk through the mist, but in order not to fall victim of it, because it's a magic that was created by this ancient spirit of the woods that would draw the people that cannot wield magic to the spirit of the wood, and they would essentially die. They use a special artifacts that essentially are parts of the bodies of animals. Yes, so it's a little bit on the darker end of fantasy, but at the same time it's not too much, and it has such evocative settings, and the storytelling of Rachel Gillig is also chef's kiss. You could try to picture it as a blend of Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. We also have a little bit of Narnia, you know, the winter woods, the magic. I recently rewatched Narnia, only half of it, honestly, maybe even less. And the faun, the scene when he plays the flute, it really creeps me out. But anyways, I think it's a very good film, and probably book as well. I haven't read it. Let me know in the comments if you have, because I would be so interested in maybe dipping my toes into that series as well sometime in the future. I don't know when. And last but not least, it also has some interesting elements from The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I should have over there on my bookshelves because I want to gift it to a friend of mine. So it does have that element of mystery and mind talking to someone that never really appears a lot in the life of the protagonist, but again, it's someone important. And so yeah, I would definitely recommend it, honestly. I cannot give a full review, but I will recommend the book to you and your book besties. So share this video with them, tag them, do whatever you want. Definitely 100% recommend it. Now onto the tea blend recipe. We have a teaspoon of black tea. Let's start with that. Let's start setting the tone of this book. This is a dark fantasy, okay? So black tea it is. Then we have 3 cloves, a crushed juniper berry. Then we switch to flowers. We get 3 rosebuds. Malva flowers, you can put how many you want. That will give you that rich bluish, purplish color. Honestly, mine is not that colored because I haven't steeped it for so long, but up to you. And then a teaspoon of honey. That's at your discretion, to be honest. Also, please know that I'm not a herbalist, so take everything with a grain of salt. and enjoy making your own experiments with your tea blends. Oh, I poured too much. Okay, much better. Now, I think this tea blend really captures the essence of Blunder, as I've said, this mysterious setting, and it will be definitely a warming beverage for you while reading the book. Also, I want to give you a little bit more prompt to further enhance the vibes of the book that I think you will absolutely love. Not only this amazing, this is not the moment to be humble, this amazing tea blend, but also a couple of playlists that I found on Spotify, and I will link in the description below, that I think will be awesome. They are quite spooky for my taste, but bear in mind, I don't watch horror movies. Nosferatu was actually an exception for me, okay? Kind of spooky, but also mysterious and just perfect for the book. So I've tried the instrumental one that you can find in the description, and I very often get distracted a lot by playing music in the background when I'm reading. With this book and playlist, the match was perfection. Definitely recommend it to enhance your reading experience. Let's also chat about books. So I want to hear from you which book you are currently reading or listening to, or however else you'd like to consume your books. I know that in my last video I gave you the precious advice of reading what you own for reading minimalism and reducing that sense of overwhelm that might come around when you're really immersed in the bookish community with lots of different advices and book tips and TBR recommendations. However, let's just say I haven't really followed my own advice, or as I would say in Italian, ho parlato bene e razzolato male, which means I preached one thing, but I did the opposite, loosely translated. I was reading 3 books all together, all on my Kindle. I know. Now, why am I telling you this? Because I want to briefly touch upon the books. Of course, you know all about One Dark Window, which is the book that I decided to stick with. I left the other 2 behind for just a short amount of time until I'm done with One Dark Window. I had also started Onyx Storm by... But anyway, I had also started Onyx Storm, which has come out this week actually, on January 21st. My first impression of the book, and keep in mind I've only read 2 chapters, is not the best because of the fast pace. And this made me realize something here. I used to absolutely love the fast pace that you get in some of the most popular romantasy series like Akutar or The Serpent and the Wings of Night or even Fourth Wing. However, I currently need to take it a little bit slower. And if you do as well, I just want to let you know that it's completely fine, okay? Sometimes you just need to enjoy books at your own pace, especially for us slow readers. It can get a lot. One Dark Window, perfection if you want a slower paced book that is still going to be filled with mystery, and it's something that you savor slowly, okay? Just as your cup of tea. This is not to say that I've ditched or TNF'd Onyx Storm. I will probably read it because I want to make up my mind whether I like the series or not. So I loved Fourth Wing. I didn't really love Iron Flame. And then this 3rd book, I think it's going to make it or break it for me. But it's just a different type of pace, to be honest, and it's fine. If you're looking for something like that, maybe you want to pick up Onyx Storm right away and not wait. 3rd book that I'm going to tell you about is a novel love story by Ashley Poston. So that one I was actually reading for my book club that I have with my book besties, Chapter Chats and Chill, and it's a romance. It's giving very cozy vibes. I'm sensing a small town romance type of vibes with some literary elements, which is something that I really enjoy coming from a small town myself, and I will resume it as soon as I'm done with One Dark Window. This book actually makes me think about Sweet Magnolias, a Netflix show that I'm currently watching. Let me tell you, I am obsessed. Honestly, I really love the series for some reason, so nothing special happens. It has a little bit of a soap opera vibes, honestly, but overall it's just so cozy, so heartwarming, something perfect to watch if you don't want that rush of adrenaline. It's just like taking a deep breath. So I would definitely recommend that show as well. That is it for today's video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you liked the video, like, subscribe and share it with one of your book besties. I would appreciate it so much. Now I'm going to be back brewing another batch of this herbal tea inspired by One Dark Window, and I will see you next Sunday at 3 p.m. Central European Time with another very special bookish chat. Ciao! Enjoy your reading!